The heart wants what the heart wants. It doesn't choose right from wrong. In the eye of the storm, in the eye of the storm, nothing can be done. We were in this situation, this world that suddenly collapsed around everybody, and there were no gigs, nobody knew what was happening, and I think that as an artist I needed something to focus upon, and it seemed like the ideal opportunity to get that book out that I'd been scribbling notes down in for years and see what songs I could make out of them, and give this a try once and for all to make this album.
Well, there ain't no fool like a fool in love that keeps on coming back for more.
So I sat down one day and wrote the lyrics to If I Knew. I had this idea in my head, if I knew that was the last time I was going to see you, I would have been there more. And this just flowed out of me, and I sent it over to Paul Edis, a friend of mine, piano player, who's a songwriter. And within 24 hours, he sent back this beautiful piece of music to the lyrics I'd written. And then I knew, okay, this is where we start. This is where we start the album, The Heart Wants.
If I knew that would be the last time, I would have held you much closer if I knew.
I started off as a singer-songwriter, but didn't have the success that I'd hoped for, and quite naturally slipped into the jazz world, and all of that singing of jazz songs, of beautiful, timeless songs, and the recording of Weather in the Storm really defined who I was as a singer, as an interpreter, and I think that's really helped in knowing exactly what kind of songs I want to write myself. Those songs that are timeless, but they connect to people, that are got beautiful melodies, but the lyrics mean so much as well. So that was the direction I wanted to take this album in.
Everything's changing. Some days it feels like we've lost control. I know inside you feel like breaking. Don't wanna face the day alone.
When I listen to albums that I'm inspired by, they always seem to have a theme running the whole way through. They tell a story from start to finish, so many of them. It's interesting, it takes you on a journey, it transports you somewhere, and this is exactly the kind of timeless album that I wanted to make. It had to have a story, it had to have a theme through it. I came up with the title, The Heart Wants, because of a conversation I'd had with a friend of mine, Hannah Vasanth, who actually ended up writing and producing half of the album. And we were having a late night, deep and meaningful conversation, and she said to me, I said, why is it that we are like this? And she said, well, I don't know, Jo, the heart wants what the heart wants. So that was the song that became the title track of the album. And there was all these stories and these themes running through. They were just true stories, but stories that everybody feels, that everybody could relate to as well. We're all human at the end of the day.
Everything's changing, like the seasons, that's one thing that we know.
The songs are incredibly personal to me, experiences and things that have happened in life, but I feel like they happen to everybody, so they have a universal feel as well. People will take them, and hopefully it will relate to how they feel and the experiences they've been through as well.
You used to dream yourself away each night to places place that you've never been.
There are a few artists who have influenced this record and a few albums that have influenced this record. You know, the beautiful songwriting storytelling of Tom Waits, Joni Mitchell, people like Aretha Franklin. I love those early Aretha Franklin albums. They're so full of passion and heart-wrenching music. You know, all of the jazz albums, the Tony Bennett, Bill Evans album, which is, you know, again, songs full of stories, timeless, classic songwriting. And that's something that is essential to me when I was writing and recording this album, that every single song felt classic and timeless.
Does not belong to you, but I believe that your heart keeps young dreams. Well, I've been told to keep from never growing old.
In the way that the album's been recorded, very similar to the way that I recorded Weather in the Storm. There's this very up-close personal feel. So, you know, like you're right there telling the listener as if you're sat in the same room as them. That's a style of recording that I like, that I think will always stay with me. And the songwriting itself is just all from the heart, really. You know, there's no other way to do it for me.
To my rainbow, hang on to my rainbow, sleep.
Well, talking about dreams coming true, being able to make the record, but also working with the people who I worked with on this record. So producing half of the album and writing with me was Vasanth, who works with JP Cooper and Stormzy, and the other half with Jamie McCredie, who's my partner in crime from Weather in the Storm. And then, you know, we were having a bit of a laugh, saying, oh, who can we get on this record? You know, let's ask Christian McBride, the world's best bass player, if he wants to play, and Hannah did, and he said yes. You know, Jason Rebello, who I have ultimate respect for, absolutely one of the world's greatest piano players. And we've got Marcus Bonfanti, who's amazing UK blues man, Tony Kofi, Andy Davies, and working with Paul Edis as well. You know, just a whole host of incredible musicians, Jihad Darwish, just absolutely wonderful host of musicians on this album.
That's all that we got. Maybe we should leave this thing alone.
You know, I think this record is something that's been a lot of years in the making, a lifetime of work, of studying other musicians and other albums, interpreting songs. And, you know, I wouldn't give anything less than 100% of my heart and soul to put into any record that I made, because you don't know what's around the corner. So my wish for this is just to make people feel and think and feel deeply about this album as I have listening to my records from the past, Aretha, Tony Bennett, you know, all of the jazz singers I've listened to. That's what I want for this album. I want people to, you know, just to feel it.
Ooh, I think we'd better go.